All right, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, uh, good evening. Depending on whatever time zone you're watching this stream from today. Welcome back to our market review sessions, which we have every Monday, 2 p.m. All right. This is the FX Academy once more. And without taking too much of our time, I don't want us to have a long video today. So we're just going to, briefly just touch up on some of the commodities that we want to be watching out for and the expectations and biases that we might have, for them. So let's start from gold, XAUSD. Remember gold last week. I remember talking about the fact that I was expecting buys from here. Now, I also remember, at our market review session last week, I talked about the fact that there were many fundamentals behind gold. All right, I'm sorry. So we had, fears from tariffs and everything that actually affected uh, the sort of price movement that you'd expect on gold, right? So on a normal day, you expect gold to move pretty quickly, all right. But if you notice for the last maybe week or two right now, we've had some level of sluggishness when it comes to the movement on gold. But all the same, I believe that my general bias might still hold, or at least I believe that it should still hold. All right, this was the initial pivot one here, all right, which was initially resistance here, and then it became a support, right? And then I'm having another one that I'm looking at around here. This is around about 3314.55. All right, that's the value might vary depending on your broker. Sorry, but definitely if I'm going to look out for buys overall, I'm going to look out for swing buys, especially I'm watching towards this region here. This is between 3299.94 and 3281.90 for the buys, for the buys, for the buys, for the buys, for the buys. I think generally what I'm expecting right now, let me see if I can draw it up. What I'm expecting right now will be something towards this end. Something towards this end, possibly this, and then yeah, this is basically the schematic of what I'm expecting, at the moment. And the idea is very, very simple. I'm still expecting price, to give me just or to give us just a little bit of a reaction from around here. So let me return it. Give me minutes. So I'm expecting us to have just a little bit of a reaction, from around that point there. So we should be able to get maybe a short buy, during the course of the week. So that's something that you might be able to work with, depending on however you decide to trade. But for the swing buys, I'm expecting buys from, around there. For the sales, however, so for the sales, if you're looking out for sales, let me see if we can drop to the lower time frame. All right, all right. So for the sales, I'm going to give you what I would advise you to look out for, what I feel that can work. All right, based on what we can see now. If at all we're expecting gold to keep dropping, all right, we have definitely this very, very long region here. This very not so large, but still at some gold. All right, so we have this very, very interesting region here as a POI. Now, what I would be expecting definitely if I'm going to be working with this POI, that would lead me to revise this a little bit. If I'm looking out for sales, what I'll be expecting would be for me to see a break and retest of this region here. All right, and I'm sure you already know what we look out for when we're looking out for a break and retest. You already know the entry criteria and the entry confirmations that we're looking out for, especially when we talk about the break and retest, right? But that's just it basically. But all I'm going to be working with this about, I'm going to be watching out for a break and retest of that region. All right, if I'm going to be entering for the sales, that will give me a bit more form of security, at least in my mind, all right, for me to believe that we should have a sell that would at least hold up for a bit. But that basically is my bias. Sell POI is between 3 sorry, let me see that a bit better. 3334.92 and 3323.70. That'll be my sell POI. Remember, the idea is still the same. We're watching out for a break and retest. So let's see how this plays out during the course of this week. Next up, let's look at AD card. I think AD card is quite interesting. I remember last week on our market review session, I was talking about the fact that for AD card, I wanted to see something like this trend line support being taken out, so it becoming trend line liquidity, right? That basically is what I was expecting, and I think right now I believe that there is a fair enough chance, a fair enough possibility for us to see that happening maybe this week, maybe this week, maybe this week. So on the 4 hour time frame, let's see that on the 4 hour time frame, if we're working with this, let me go back to the daily time frame quickly. If I'm going to be working with this, I think I would have to expand my entry or my zone a little bit. Let me leave it around here. Is that clean enough? Yeah, I believe that's is it. So again, let me just make sure it's as accurate as possible. Right, so let's have that there. So let's go down to the 4 hour time frame right now to look at it together. So I believe for the from a swing perspective, if you're looking out for buys that would possibly last quite some time, this is a very good region to watch out for. All right, on AED card, this is between 0.88338 and 0.87885 for the buys on AED card. So let me just put that there. However, for sell entries, now remember we might not be, of course, nobody wants to wait for so long, for that for their trades to materialize. It depends anyway. It depends, but all the same, um, for the sell entries, let's see if we would be able to pick up, some entries maybe on the lower time frame. Let's on the 4 hour time frame. I want to see if we can find a good or a sufficient re-entry for us, because it does look like we might just get to see this guy continuing towards the downside. But I don't want to assume. I don't want to. I don't want to try to. I don't want to jump into conclusion so that the market will not tell me, Cynthia, for a go. Oh, I don't want to. When they tell you go out or go home, I don't. Let me just keep going out and making it, please, please, please. All right. But all the same, all the same, all the same. Let's see. Basically, I think we check on the 2 hour time frame. Maybe let me see if we'll see it on this time frame already. Did price get there? Because we had, pivot region here. Yeah, price basically already tapped into that pivot region. So definitely, we already have this current sell going. I'm looking out for the safest bet for us if you're looking out for sell re-entries. There's one in my mind, or there's one in my sights right now, but I want to see if I can make it a bit more secure, a bit safer for us. All right, let's work with this. Let's work with this, and I think the idea is still going to be the same for yeah, it's still going to be the same sort of strategy that we're looking out for on gold. All right, what I just want to say exactly is the break and just of this region. So definitely from here, we might still get to see price maybe push up a little bit. I am not so sure. Let me show you that let me zoom out and show you for our time frame. I'm not so sure that we are going to have a continuation towards the upside just yet. I'm not so sure we're going to have a continuation towards the upside just yet. All right, even though we've gotten to see this high being taken out, right? We're going to see. Let me bring it down a little bit. So we're going to see this high taking out. All right, just a little bit to buy. I don't think we had a body close here. We didn't have a body close above there. We just had weeks closing above there. So we're going to see those highs sort of taking out for it. Just a sort of fake break, all the same. But basically, what I'm trying to say is I'm not necessarily sure that we're going to have this guy 80 card continue bullish. That's the idea. I don't think we're going to see this guy continue bullish. I believe from everything we can see right now, 80 card probably has more reasons to drop a bit more, all right, to get liquidity, and then we might get to see that push eventually towards the upside. But all the same, if you're looking out for possible sales on AED card, I believe that this would be a fairly safe bet. Possibly what we're going to see right now might be something towards this end, possibly something like this, right? So let me zoom out on that so that you get what I'm saying better. All right, so basically my sell POI break and retest still the same thing, right? It's between 0.89757 and 0.89617. That would be my sell POI on AED card. However, what I'm expecting right now is for price to still push up a little bit from where we are. Maybe we should get to see price coming to this very, very interesting candle here that looks like an order block. All right. Or rather that is another block, all right, in that region. So we might get to see price, give us that push into there, and then we might get to see a sell, from there continuing. So sell POI 1, okay, let's call that sell POI 1, be between 0.90284 and 0.90082, 0.90284 and 0.90082. That'll be sell POI 1. Sell POI 2, which I believe is a more conservative one and it's a lot better for me, all right, will be the between 0.89757 and 0.89617, as I mentioned earlier. All right, that's just the idea. This is sell POI 1, sell POI 2 overall. I'm watching out for this guy to still drop a little bit more. All right, let's just go into ADUSD because I feel like I've used a lot of time to talk about AD card right now. So this was our bias last week on ADUSD. Played out quite well. At least it gave us some, some solid moves basically from there. Now, what exactly should we then expect right now? I believe that from what we can see here, basically we have equal liquidity sitting around here. All right, let's see on the daily time frame. Should we expect you to still push up a little bit? Don't mind me. Right. So I think if we're working with what I can see right now, Again, what I'm gonna say right now, we didn't have a strip of this. I really wish we had a strip of this low. All right, then definitely would have had sort of information of a QML pattern here, and they would have been able to work with that. But all the same, even though up on still, um, right. So let me mark out this region here. Let me just possibly pull it down a little bit. This will be my sell PY1. All right, this is still quite far off, but it's between 0.8, 0.6. So let's get a minute. 0.65544. Yeah. 0.65544 and 0.65391. 0.65544 and 0.65391. That would be my sell POI1. Yes. So I believe that we should get to see maybe a little bit of a push, and then we get to see the continuation for the sales from there. Let me confirm something on the daily. Yeah, I mean it's looking quite valid. It's looking quite believable from what I can see right now. Yeah, so let's just work with that. Let's work with that for the meantime. Let's work with that for the meantime. Right, so that's just it for AUD/USD. A buy to sell is what I'm expecting. So without taking too much time, I'm not going to be touching too many commodities today. So let's just do Euro AUD. Possibly do Euro AUD. We'll do Euro CAD and then maybe Euro USD also, and then we'll look at some other guys. But Euro AUD. So let's see 4 hour time frame. Let's start on the daily time frame. Let's start for a daily time frame. Anything concrete for us to look upon? That's really, I mean, not that I'm so keen on right now. All right, so for AED, for Euro AED rather. So let me delete this. Remember, I said last week we're having some level of, we're having some consolidation on this guy. We're having ranging sort of movements, price action on this guy, and this was basically the result. We're going to see price breakout of that range or that consolidation area, and then we've had a sort of break and retest of the upper boundary. Remember, I usually talk about that when we have consolidations like this. We've had a break and retest of the upper boundary, which is somewhere around here. All right, or the candle with the highest wick, they're just marking out that region encapsulated by that candle. That's what I'm referring to as the upper boundary. So we've had a break, and then we've had a retest in that area, which is this right now. We're seeing that this guy looks to be bullish, or at least looks to be giving us evidence of bullishness, which I think I might be tempted to believe. However, we have a very interesting region here. I've already marked this out a couple of, I don't even know when I marked it out basically, but we have that region there, and I believe that that's a pivot region, right? So I believe that we should get to see some level of reactions from there. All right. So that being said, I think I'm going to be very, very cautious on this guy right now. What I might be watching out for on this guy also will be a break and retest. All right, but basically what I want to see right now might be something towards this end. Um, yep, maybe like this, and then something like this. All right, something like this. And basically, okay, so POI1 or sell POI1, supply region 1 is 1 point, let me see that better, sorry, 1.80589 and 1.80015. So ranging between 1.80589 and 1.80015. That'll be my sell POI1. Sell POI2, which is for the break and retest. Remember, for the break and retest, between 1.79476 and 1. So did I see that? Is it 7? Sorry, 1.79426. Okay, 1.79426 and 1.79051. 1.79426 and 1.79. I'm so sorry. This thing is quite small. I think my eyes are interesting. I don't believe I need glasses anyway. Let me just check the coordinates directly. All right, so forgive me for that. So 1.79051 and 1.79426, 1.79051 and 1.79426. That'll be my sell PY2. Again, I'm just watching out for the break and test for the second one. All right, but for the first one, all right, that's just a direct sell from there. This basically is what I'm expecting this week on Euro AUD at the very, 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 very least. All right, so that's just it. Without taking too much time, let's go to Euro CAD. Euro CAD also, I believe, we should still get some level of correlation between what we just saw on Euro AUD. Or I mean, I wish we can be expecting some level of sales to happen on Euro CAD. We've gotten to see, however, I think this past week we got to see a break of the previous, a break of structure at least. If you're looking at it from the daily time frame, let me see if I can explain that quickly. We had this here this was one break of structure here. We had this next eye that was created after that, and then after that we got to see retracement, and then we got to see that those eyes have now been taken out. In this case here, we have something like this. All right, so right, so we've seen a break of that eye right now. So let's go to the 4 hour time frame. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Let's see what can we do with you. Because right now, definitely we're expecting retracement, or we're expecting at least a fairly not necessarily so deep, but we should be able to get some good sell entries. And I think straight off what I can see here, we have a pirate region. Am I correct? Yes. That is sitting just below here. And I think I'm so sorry because I feel like we're seeing a lot of break and retest, or at least I'm seeing a lot of break and retest sort of entries that we might be able to work with. All right, so again, we can work with the break and retest for this. All right, all right, meaning I'm watching out for itself from, and it is similar to what we just saw on Euro 80, so that's fine. So I'm watching out for itself from somewhere between 1.60900 and 1.60690, 1.60900 and 1.60690. That'll be my sell POI for Euro card. Again, I'm watching out for a break and retest. If I come to the 2-hour time frame, let's see if we might be able to find a point for us to work with. If we're going to be watching out for simple pullbacks. Do we have one of such? No. Let me see. No. None that I am so interested in, I believe. Let me see on the 1-hour time frame first. I'm very tempted to mark out this whole region because this definitely, again, is a pivot region. We have many reactions, or we had at least some level of sluggishness there. And I believe that we should, or we might be able to see, some reactions from there. So CLPI1, let me reiterate. All right, CLPI1 coordinates are between 1.61447 and 1.61602. That'll be CLPI1 in this case right now. CLPI2 will be between 1.60690 and 1.60900. All right, so that basically is those are the coordinates for Eurocard. So this is for the sell, first sell. This is for the second sell. Remember, for the second sell, we're watching out for a break and retest. All right, so I feel like we've taken so much time just explaining that. Also, don't mind me. So let's just go into Euro USD quickly. Euro USD. Right. So give me a minute. All right, so this Euro USD, let's start from the 2-hour time frame. Remember, our buyers for Euro USD last week was bullish. We were watching out for buys, and then what we got to see, unfortunately, was Euro USD wine us. It actually literally really did wine us, and I was very very hurt because I didn't understand why exactly the guy missed my entry, but later Kasha Madupe, we moved, we moved. So this is it on Euro USD right now. We've had this guy holding up this trend line support here, really holding up for the past couple of weeks, and let's see if we can find something that we might maybe be able to work on. Let's see. Let me go to the 4-hour time frame. Just move up to the 4-hour time frame. This is very interesting. What I'm seeing right now it is interesting to me. All right, because number one, I believe that you all should know this also. When you have trend line support, all right, when you have any form of support, basically a resistance you have can also become a point for liquidity to be swept from, because basically you have instructions that have been given to price to either push price upwards or to push price downwards, right, depending on whatever scenario, whatever the case might be. And in this case, I believe maybe we might be able to get to see. I think this is going to be the one I'm not necessarily sure of as of this moment right now. I prefer to see a lot more price action play out first before diving in for this trade. So I think I'm going to be very very cautious with Euro USD right now. All right, so I'm just going to give an idea of what I'm expecting. Maybe not necessarily a zone to work with, but at least an idea of what I'm expecting right now in Euro USD. So like I said earlier, we have this very very strong. Let me see it on the daily time frame first before I say this. All right, that's fair enough. So from what I can see right now on Euro USD, right, we have very, very strong resistance, very, very strong trend and resistance that still seems to be holding up for at least has been holding up for quite some time now. If we get to see a break and retest of this region, again, I'm saying a break and retest. It's so interesting, right? But if we get to see a break and retest of this region, I believe that USD should then continue towards the downside. That means that basically I'm watching out for a break and retest of this trend line, all right? And then if I thought we get to see that, definitely I expect that price should sweep liquidity from that trend line, and then we should get a possibly fairly long sell, maybe at least towards this region where we have the fair value gap left behind. So I might not necessarily give out coordinates right now for Euro USD. I think I would prefer to watch out a little bit more for the price action and how this guy basically would move during the course of the week. But that basically is my bias for Euro USD. So GBP JPY, I don't want to take too much of our time. I believe we're all busy. So GBP JPY. Ew. Remind me, GBP JPY. So again, I think for this, because I already checked this earlier. Now for GBP JPY, from what I can see right now, All right, I believe that we should still get to see, maybe not now, all right, but I believe we should get to see this guy give us, you know, we should get to see this guy give us potential sales very soon. I'm not even talking about like something small, like I mean something that will be quite deep. All right. But I do not necessarily, like I said, this wouldn't be one of the ones I'm just going to have to watch out for current price action and how it plays out. I want to see what happens when we get to see a proper sweep of this eye. All right, if it's just a week that breaks above it, then we might just have a sell happen, and then maybe this trend line support will turn to a point for liquidity to be sought from. But for the meantime, I'm going to be very, very cautious on at least GG and EU. At least maybe price action would have moved, price would have moved rather, maybe between today and tomorrow, and then I might be able to see something more concrete. If I do see that, I'll definitely do my best to communicate that. All right, so let's not take too much time. GBP USD, something interesting also I've seen on this guy right now. We've had this very, very small, very, very small region of resistance here. Price sort of has struggled there for a while. Now, what exactly might we then expect? Let me see it on the daily time frame first. Okay, let's see for hour 2. Okay. So this is what I'm going to just say for GBP USD. Now, remember for Euro USD, I was expecting we're looking at bearishness on Euro USD. For GBP USD also, I think I'll be expecting something similar. But in this case, again, we're going to be working with the break and retest. Now, the reason why I'm talking about break and retest so much, or why it seems I'm talking about it so much, is because it's very simple. I believe in simplicity, and I'm more of a conservative trader. And one of the most conservative things, sorry, one of the most conservative things I believe you can trade is the break and test. All right, it's you don't need to be too anxious. All right, if you see that zone gets to fail, that's just good for you, right? And then you just want to see that retest. Now, for me, when I'm looking out for the retest, usually I'm looking out for things like an engulfing candle pattern formation. I'm looking out for maybe a lower time frame break of structure, a lower time frame, lower time frame break of structure. I might even be looking out for a rejection candle being formed inside there. If I get to see 1 or 2 rejection candles being formed inside there, then that gets to tell me for all reasons that there are reasons for price to go in that direction, that opposite direction. All right, so for GBP USD sell POI, if you're looking out for the sales right now between 1.35700 and 1.34886, and the idea is still very, very simple. Remember, we're just working with a break of this region, then a retest, and then a continuation. However, for what I can see here, let me delete this because I think I'll need to touch up on this a little bit. I'm very tempted to move to the daily time frame, but I'm not sure if I can see anything. Oh, okay. I mean, I mean, I mean, just give me a minute. I wasn't necessarily seeing something so clear previously, but let's see if or how we can work with daily time frame, POIs, and then let's see if we can refine them towards the lower time frames for us to use. So I think this is a what's the word? This is a valid region for us to watch out for also for sales on GBP USD. Let me come to the 4-hour time frame. All right, so I think I'm going to go back to the daily time frame so that I can possibly mark out the full candle. Give me minutes. Let me just fold this up a little bit because this looks to be the kind of that swept that one's liquidity. So let's just have it like this for the meantime on the daily time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, let's come to this. So what I might be expecting right now, would be this. Let me shift this guy towards this end a little bit. So let's see something like maybe something like this. Maybe this looks quite crazy from what I can see. But let me just explain my current bias now. I believe that we should get to still see, maybe we might get to see this eye being taken out. Overall, I definitely know that I'm going to see a break of this zone here, and that will be for a sell continuation, right? I'm very, very sure about that. This from what I can see on the daily time frame and from what I can see even on the same 4-hour time frame, right? But maybe we might get to see just that little bit of a push. It might not last up to a year, all right. It might be maybe just price giving us a short retracement, maybe even into still the same region, all right. Maybe I should just reduce it, all right, so that it won't look so unbelievable, right? But this is just what I'm watching out for. Eventually, do I believe that we should get to see price give us sales from here also? That's still quite far out. It's between 1.36 36839 and 1.36269. It's still quite far out, like I said. I'm not expecting that to maybe be something I'll work with right now, but at the very least, we might get to see this being this region still hold up. So maybe a short buy very strong, but definitely I want to wait for the break and test of this region on GBP USD. All right, so last but not least, let's see. I'll choose maybe one or two commodities. Let me see USD card. For a while, I've not traded USD card. I've basically just left, I've abandoned it for a while. But for the meantime, I think I'll be more I'll prefer to work what I can see or what I was seeing last week on USD JPY. I think we might still have a possibility of it still playing out. Give me a minute. Right, I think we might still have a possibility of it playing out on this time frame. Let me see it on the daily time. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I wanted to check for something else. Okay. Probably. All right, so this is what I'm seeing right now on USD JPY. Definitely, I'm still working with this, sell POI here that we talked about last week. 149.490 between 149.490 and 148.871. That is my sell POI on USD JPY. So basically, I'm still expecting a buy into that region, and then we should get to see a sell. Now, remember, one thing I usually talk about is the fact that you should practice proper risk management. Practice by all means, enforce it upon yourself. Be disciplined enough to practice proper risk management. Nothing ensures your consistency as much as you being able to practice proper risk management. Trust me, what you want to do in this Forex game is that you're able to last long. You don't want to just make maybe like $1 million today and then all of a sudden you're broke, because definitely you have expenses and everything. So practice proper risk management, be very, very cautious during the week, and I'm very sure, as usual, we are going to have a profitable week. All right, so thank you for joining us for today's session. I'll catch you guys in our comment sessions maybe next week, Monday. We might be having some streams very, very soon. All right, but you'll be getting to hear about all of those as they play out. All right, so have a lovely rest of the week, guys. Goodbye.